Good afternoon, parents and families. In this training, we're going to cover transitions and going places. My name is Megan, and here I have Megan McDevitt.
Hello.
We're going to go over some common questions when going places. Does your child sit in their car seat during the drive? Does your child calmly get in the vehicle? Does your child refuse to get in the vehicle so that you'll chase or play with them, maybe to get your attention? Does your child get restless in a long car ride? Does your child understand where they're going? Maybe they're asking you, where are we going all the time? Does your child want to keep doing the activity they were doing before? So are transitions getting really difficult, maybe because they don't know where they're going, or car ride experiences have been negative in the past? So these are just some common questions that you might be thinking as we enter the training into going places and transitions. And then when we think about this kind of ABC dynamic, so what are some strategies we can do to prevent transitions being a negative experience for both us and our students or our children? And how do we really want to respond in those moments of transitions and going places? The latter part is what we'll teach, but for today's training, we're just going to go over kind of the A and the B part of it. So we're going to go over prevent and respond. Megan?
All right, so when we talk about going places, regardless of what, the cause for the challenging behavior may be, there are so many different ways that we can address that ahead of time and try to prepare for success and set our child up for success by instituting these different strategies ahead of time. So one would be to create a social story, which is just, it's a little story book, maybe with your child's name, or a simple, a little book about a certain subject. So maybe it's a new activity that they're not used to, like getting on the bus, and maybe they haven't taken that bus before, and you can give them it's almost like a little outline or something to expect for them. And it'll help them, especially if you read it over and over again, help them understand the expectations for whatever that task may be. So using the potty, or, walking through the neighborhood, or trying new foods, or whatever it may be. You can do a social story on anything. And we can also help you with that. We have some already created, and you can reach out to us if you ever have an idea of something you'd like to turn into a book for your child to help them learn a new task or activity or expectation. You can play a game like I Spy that kind of distracts them from what they don't want to do, which is go to the next place. You can offer your child choices on how to get to the ride or what they can bring on the ride. So instead of just saying, come on, let's go to the car, we can say, do you want to hop like a bunny to the car, or do you want to stomp like a dinosaur? You can kind of give different little things in between to transition physically to that car. Or they can choose something to bring from the house. Maybe they're having a really hard time leaving and they want to take something with them. Sometimes it's okay to pick your battles and allow them, if you're okay with it, to take that object with them. That can make that transition a lot easier. You can include your child in the preparation of going somewhere, so they're involved and they know what to expect. You can provide a highly preferred item or toy just for the car. So that would be something that they do not have access to other times of the day, or they may have access to it, but they know that every time they get in the car that they are going to have this particular item that they love. So it's going to give them that reinforcement that, oh, this is something I want to do. You can use a visual and schedule a time to play. So you cut out specific times to have playtime, and show them when in a visual schedule when those times are, so they know what to expect. Again, we can play later. First, we're going to such and such. You may use a visual timer, which is an awesome tool. There are so many, and we put, I believe, one resource on there for really great timers, visual timers that we use in the classroom, but it gives them that obviously that visual, they can see how much time there is left. You can use your phone just to do a timer like that, or you can check out one of the website that we provided, which has a million different fun ideas, like a rocket ship blasting off, and you can choose something that your child likes. A lot of times that will actually help them to transition because they're so excited about, what they see on the screen. And these last three are pretty general strategies that you can really use frequently throughout the day. So just reminding your child before transitioning where they're going, letting them know the place that they're going, the expectation, and the consequence. So again, keep everything clear and concise, but of course they're going to want to know, where are they going? What are they supposed to do? And if not, what's the consequence? So we always try to really phrase things in positive ways. So make sure that your tone and everything is exciting. It's not, the task is not something that is a burden. You want to try to paint it in a way that it's an exciting adventure or whatever it is. I know you might not have time for that all the time, but even just watching the language in which you say, get in the car, we're going to such and such. Maybe kind of phrase it in a different way so that it's not just like this direction, this is what you have to do, but instead it's something that may be a little bit more exciting or manageable for them. Also providing frequent positive specific praise. You want to really give that positive praise whenever you see your child doing something or acting like in an appropriate way, especially when, you want to catch them being good. So if they're doing all of these things that they're having a very difficult time and they're, not really necessarily following what you want them to do, say there's an instant where they do the right thing, you can completely give all the attention to that moment and be very specific and positive about what it is that they're doing. So maybe they were having a really hard time getting to the car, but then you see that they choose to stand up and they walk at least to the door. Give them all the praise in the world, throw them a little party. And a lot of times that is what they're looking for, is that positive attention. And we can reinforce that, again, the appropriate behavior by providing that frequent and positive specific praise. And the last one that is a pretty general strategy that we use a lot throughout the day and is great for preparing them for what to expect is first then language. So that's just what it sounds. It's first this, then this. So they, over time, understand that the expectation is that if you want this, first you need to do this. So a lot of times we will use highly preferred items. We will use activities that they like, access to people that they want to see to drive that behavior. So first you have to do this, and then you can get what you want, basically, which is a great strategy. And at first it might take a little bit of time to get them, acclimated to that, but we use it here all the time. They're familiar with the language, and we often use visuals and first then boards where they can actually see this is it first, and then you can do this. So really you can use that to your advantage. And oftentimes, they might put up a little fight at first, but once they realize that you're consistently following through with what you promised, they'll begin to trust that, okay, I can do this, or I will do this so that I can do this next, or get what I want, or we can move on to the next thing. So that's really just a good overall strategy. And this is a list of a bunch of different ideas, but your child best. Kind of what they're like. You can try different things. Don't be discouraged if it doesn't work right away, or if it works once and then stops working. Just continue to try to be as consistent as possible. And follow your child. Follow what you're noticing about what they like. And the goal is really to make it easier for you and easier for them. So again, doing these preventative steps can really help set them up for success in the long run.
So the next part is how to respond. So Megan went over preventative measures so that we're avoiding any challenging or potentially challenging behavior during transitions or when we're going places out in our community. And then this is how we would respond. So we want to restate expectations and use choices, but also providing that positive descriptive praise and language, as Megan was kind of stating prior. So if the expectation is that we're going to get in the car, we're going to get in the bus, but we're going to use our walking feet, just restate those expectations so that they're aware of it. You know, we might forget, or it could have been a while since we stated the expectations, but just rephrase those. Provide a warning or restate the consequence. And also be sure to follow through on that consequence. So if the warning is, we're going to go to the bus stop in 5 minutes, we're going to go to the bus stop in 1 minute. And as Megan was kind of saying, in the preventative side, we can provide those timers or a song, or if you have like a specific chant, if you're using any pictures at home, provide those warnings so that they are aware ahead of time what's going to be happening in their future, but also on the consequence side too. So if you're leaving, going to the bus, maybe they're waiting for the bus, but you're delayed. The consequences, we might miss the school, we might miss the bus. And if they're missing the bus to go to school, then maybe there's no other transportation. So maybe we don't go to school today because we missed the bus. And kind of that follow through is all we want them to come to school. The consequences, we're not going to go to school today because we missed the bus. Or if maybe the expectation is that we have quiet voices when we're in the grocery store. And if we don't have quiet voices, then we're going to have to leave the grocery store. So the expectation is quiet voices. The consequence might be we have to leave the grocery store. And if they really like being in the grocery store, the consequence of leaving might be really adversive. So maybe by you just kind of reminding, hey, remember we have to use quiet voices in the grocery store, that's enough to kind of keep rewarding that behavior. If a child is safe, ignore the inappropriate behavior. I think that's number one for what we use here at school. As long as they're safe and our other students are safe, we do ignore, not ignoring the child, but ignoring the inappropriate behavior, because we want to comment positively and often on those more appropriate behaviors. Teach your child safe, what that means. Our expectations are be safe, be kind, be helpful. And those expectations can be really elusive or really difficult to teach. So the way that we're teaching it here in our school is being safe is you have walking feet in the hallway. That's how you're safe. Because if you run, you might trip and fall. So we constantly are saying, wow, you're being so safe. Look at your walking feet in the hallway. So teaching those when you're out in the community and at home too, whatever safe means for you and for your expectations and roles at home. And you can kind of model that behavior through different role play. You can have walking feet. Say, oh, mommy has walking feet or grandma has walking feet. You can kind of point out and narrate other people who have walking feet in your environment, so they're understanding what safe means and how that relates to walking feet. Keep your emotion as calm as possible. And because in certain scenarios where challenging behavior is displayed, we can get really frustrated too. So remember yourself to take a deep breath. If it helps, you can ask your child to take a deep breath. And sometimes at the same time, because you're modeling to take a deep breath, you inadvertently end up taking a deep breath and now everyone's calm. But try to remain as calm as possible and have a neutral tone of voice so you're able to effectively move forward. Use a visual timer and show your child that it's time to go or that it'll be time to go soon. And we do have resources at the end of this presentation that include some different apps that you can download on your phone, or you can just use like a generic phone timer that's available without downloading any apps. Validate your child's actions and emotions, and also narrate your own emotions. So you might say, you know, mommy's feeling really frustrated, or I'm feeling really angry, or that makes me sad. But then also validate your child's emotions. It looks like you're angry. It looks like you're feeling sad right now. And if you have previously taught any problem solving or calm down strategies, you can then talk about those too. You seem like you're really upset right now. Do you want to take a deep breath of mommy? And kind of practice that. But also by you kind of narrating your own behavior, you're modeling expressing emotions, which is great. And then lastly, letting your child know that they can continue the activity when they get back. So I think Megan had mentioned they might be playing with trains and they don't really want to leave trains. They can either transition with the train if that's okay, to take it with them on a school bus or in an Uber or a car. But if it's not okay to take that train with them, then let them know that it'll stay there if that's possible or feasible, or they can continue when they get back if that's also applicable too. Leave the activity out so they can see that it'll still be there. If that's not possible, then you might want to practice cleaning up. So in our response, we would help support model cleaning up. Here at the center, we do play like cleanup songs to make it more fun. If that's of interest to you, you can talk to your classroom teacher and see what classroom cleanup song they use. Might be helpful because it'll be a similar song or a song that they're used to hearing while they clean up.
And it's actually very, it can be very, very beneficial to use that audio cue of a cleanup song because it does help them know that that activity is finished. It gives them that trigger in their head to know, oh, okay. Even if right away they're still having a hard time with it, over time they'll start to understand that that's, you know, that's what that song means. And there are so many fun cleanup songs out there too that aren't terrible. They're not the worst. So you can, sometimes we've actually seen certain songs we use have had an effect on how much the children actually participate in the cleanup. If it's something upbeat, we've seen that some of the kids will run around and get excited to clean up and it becomes a whole activity and we're dancing while we're cleaning up. And it wasn't intended to even go that way, but you know, they'll, like I said, they'll kind of let you know where they're enjoying the moments and how you can continue to build off of that when you notice that they are enjoying something or they're into something or it's kind of working.
Go ahead, Megan.
Okay, so this next part is common transition questions from activity to activity. So before we were speaking on going places, maybe going, getting the bus or going in the car to go somewhere, a physical location that's elsewhere. But this one is for transitioning from activity to activity. So from playing to dinner or from brushing their teeth to bed, or, you know, there's all those transitions you have throughout the day. So here are a couple questions that you may ask yourself when you're dealing with transitions. Does your child easily leave an activity they enjoy? Chances are they might not. We see a lot of that here. You know, why would you want to stop if you don't have to? Or if you feel like, I mean, you obviously want to keep doing what you want to do. So how does your child calmly move from one, or does your child calmly move from one activity to the next? Are they transitioning in a calm manner, or are they all over the place and ready to just on go? Does your child have a difficult time understanding where to go or what to do next? So that's you know, them not necessarily being prepared for what is coming next, and that can be difficult to be unfamiliar. I mean, as adults, we know. Think about COVID. Think about how we, from day to day, from hour to hour, we had no idea what was going on. People were saying different things. It was just a lot going on, and the anxiety that we felt as adults who, you know, have had a lot of these. We have a lot of strategies in place to help ourselves deal with different situations that may arise that are, you know, not necessarily what we expected, being flexible and all of that. We can get anxious and we can have a really hard time. So imagine how our kiddos have, how they can feel when something is either not known to them and they're just being taken from one place to another, or if they're not sure what to do. We really need to, and we'll talk about that in the next couple slides, but help them, again, set them up for success in those moments. So identifying what the particular maybe triggers or issues that they're having, or the reasons why they're having a difficult time transitioning, pinpointing that can be really, really crucial.
And this is the same prevent, respond, teach. So today we're just going to focus on those that AB part of the ABC model of antecedent behavior consequence. And today we're going to go over the prevent part and the respond. So task items or strategies that we can prevent challenging behavior and transitions from activity to activity, and how we would respond in those moments. The first part, transition, we want to prevent, and these are some strategies. Again, these are just a couple. You know your child best, and some of these may or may not work, but we're just giving some ideas. Might want to pair a visual with a transition warning. So if you're playing a song or you're giving a 1-minute cue, you can pair a visual. So they're getting both a visual and an audio cue. And that just displays or allows your child to know what's coming next. And you can use this as a part of a visual schedule. There's also physical object schedule. So maybe if they're transitioning to dinner, a part of their object schedule would be you give them a plate and they go to the dinner table. Or if it's time to play, you give them a car and they go to, the living room to play cars. This can be done on an individual basis. So again, if you have other questions or concerns or interested in making a visual schedule or using any visuals in your classroom or your home, talk to your classroom teacher and they can help support you. Have your child transition with a sibling, a friend, or you can help your child transition yourself. So maybe you hold hands and you walk from the play area or the living room to the dinner table together, versus pointing or telling them vocally. Give choices of what they can do next. So maybe they can play outside, or they can play in the living room, or they can watch TV, or they can play in their bedroom with Legos. So give them options of the activities that are available to them. Have the next activity set up or prepared. So if you want them to transition to like the dinner table, or to transition for breakfast or mealtime, or maybe you are really interested in setting up an arts crafts activity, have that prepared so that when they transition, they know what's expected of them. The dinner is already out on the table. Okay, I know that means that we're having food right now, versus going to an empty table and they don't know what's going on. When giving directions, provide one step at a time. A lot of our students and your children are really kind of at this level of focusing and understanding one-step direction. So if I have a cup, I might say, put it in the trash, but I want them to, go to the trash. I want them to come back. I need to go to the bathroom. I need to put on your shoes because we're going to go outside. But maybe I say, okay, put the cup in the trash. And then the next direction is put on your shoes. And the next direction is we're going to go outside, versus lumping it all into one. To reduce wait time, provide a transition activity. So a song, a book, a toy. There might be periods of time where we have to wait, and waiting is really hard. So if we're waiting at a bus stop, or if we're waiting in line at the grocery store, can we provide a tablet or our phone, or maybe they carry a book with them, or they carry a toy from home to keep them occupied, because again, waiting is really difficult, especially for this age group of 3 to 6. That's something that we're practicing and we're learning here at school. So I'm sure it's applicable at home too. Use the calendar if that's appropriate to show upcoming events. And you can even have them cross off days. So maybe we're on a long break. So we do have breaks at our school year. We have different holiday breaks and summer breaks. Maybe that's a really long time because we love going to school. You can have them help cross off days on the calendar. Okay, 5 more days till we get back to school, 4 more days till we get back to school. Or maybe you're taking a trip. So maybe it's, okay, 4 more days till we go on our trip, 3 more days till we go on a trip, and they can be a part of that. Have your child help put materials away. We were previously talking about cleaning up or transition songs, and you kind of helping support that and being a model, they can help you clean up too. And it could be like a turn taking fun time. You can give them a special job. So maybe they're in charge of sweeping the floor, and you play like a really cool song while you're doing it, or you're sweeping and they're in charge of holding, the dustpan. So maybe, making them a part of that kind of cleanup routine and that activity. And also, most importantly, we want to praise children using that positive specific phrase for putting materials away, regardless of other behaviors that may be occurring. So maybe they're speaking at a higher level volume than we would prefer, but they're still cleaning up. We're praising, providing praise. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for helping and cleaning up. Look at you go. We want to praise that appropriate behavior and ignore the challenging or inappropriate behavior, because what do we want to happen more of? We want them to clean up more, and we're going to ignore the challenging or inappropriate behavior. So we're not going to pay any attention to that. Megan, anything else to add?
No, you hit it.
Go ahead.
All right. So respond when, in the midst of your transition, and if things, kind of go a little south and your child gets a little bit, they're starting to get distracted, you can redirect them, and focus them back on the visual schedule maybe that you have, that shows what is first, what comes next, and upcoming fun activities. So kind of give them that, refocus them on, okay, yes, we have to do this now, but look, we still have this coming and you can do this next. And it kind of gives them a little motivation, because it's something that they prefer. Another thing you can do is to redirect your child by stating what you want them to do and ignore the challenging behavior when possible. So this is that positive language, and telling them, instead of saying, don't run, you can say use your walking feet, or instead of saying like stop hitting, you can say keep your hands to yourself. And telling them what to do is a great way for them. It's much better for them to understand what's expected of them than if they hear no walking or no running, because they might just hear running and they might not even know what the alternative option is. And then ignoring the challenging behavior. So obviously, if it's safe, you can ignore whatever it is that you don't want them to do. Oftentimes they're doing it for attention and they don't care what kind of attention it is. So even if you're yelling at them, or if you're telling them, you're redirecting them in a way that you wouldn't think would feel good to them, they still are getting that attention. So they're being reinforced regardless. So try to ignore that challenging behavior. And oftentimes you'll really start to see that, oh, I'm not getting any attention for this. Let me try to actually do what he or she is saying. And then the more you continuously and consistently do that, they start to really pick up on it. And most times they want to make you happy. And they would rather have that positive attention than the negative attention. So just kind of revamping all of that so that you're making sure that you're being positive with your language, and still keeping those boundaries and being, keeping that expectation, but you do it in a positive way. Cueing a sibling or another person to show your child where to go or take their hand to help. So use a sibling or someone in the house, maybe that your child is drawn to help them get to where they're going. Again, your child, so you can probably figure out, if you watch your child maybe imitating an older sibling or wanting to help a younger sibling or whatever, you can use that to your advantage. And then you can also take their hand and guide them to help, go to that next activity. Re-cue your child to follow the expectations. So that can just be a simple, clear, concise repeat of the direction. So you can use a visual, you can gesture, but you just want them to be sure that they understand what's expected of them. And again, we don't want to talk all in circles, and we just want to keep things clear and concise so that they're able to better process what it is that you're saying and what's expected. Model the expected behavior. Show them what to do. It can be so beneficial. Sometimes they're just looking at you. It's not that they don't want to do it. They're just not necessarily understanding what it is that they're supposed to be doing. So that can be a really good way. And you can use your sibling, a sibling or another person in the home to do that as well. And that kind of goes back to, we can praise another child or somebody else in the house for doing something that we would like them to do. So use that to our advantage as well. And last but not least, let your child know you can help. So instead of, maybe getting frustrated when they're having a hard time or just doing it for them, you can say, I know it can be frustrating to zip your jacket. I can start and you can pull it, and you pull it up the rest of the way. So just guiding them and making things a little bit easier for them, and just letting them know that you're there to support them. Sometimes those transitions can feel like the end of the world to them. So just giving them that love and support in that moment can really change a lot as well.
And here are some resources. We'll send out the PowerPoint to this so that you have access to all these links. But there's resources on how to make a social story and other printable social stories that are already made. Some examples of home expectations and rules if you are interested in creating any visuals for your home. How to make a visual schedule, again, if you are interested in making a visual schedule for your home. The say this instead resources, so that's kind of focusing on using that positive descriptive praise. Different visual timers. So we mentioned this before. There's like a stopwatch, and then there's different apps that you can just download that are free on your phone that are visual timers to use with kids specifically. Different transition songs that we use here at school from YouTube. First send boards and how to make a first send board if you were interested in those visuals as well. And then just the resources that we are using for this training. Positive solutions for families if you were interested in getting more information on different family routines. And then there's a YouTube Welcome to Holland if you are interested in watching that too. Thank you so much for listening and participating and coming to our video on parent training. This was our first parent training, so we're really excited to start our 7-part series, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.